Oh, CitizenCon is about to start, guys. That is super exciting. I just cannot wait to be lied to some more about things that we'll never see. But hey, you know what is super cool is that Star Citizen Cloud Imperium Games, 12 years and 700 million later, exclusive details. This is from Insider Gaming. Someone told me about this in the comments, so thank you for letting me know. Let's check this out together, okay?
Star Citizen's turbulent 12-year development cycle hasn't been much of a secret. A quick search on YouTube or Google will reveal a plethora of issues that the project has suffered since its inception in 2012. From broken promises to cut features, backers have learned to either abandon ship or strap themselves in for a ride with no final destination in sight. Frustrations are at an all-time...
I don't want to stop all the time, but he's absolutely right about this. This is a crucial, this is a big boy rule of, you know what, it's a game. If you're not having fun here, go play something else. No Man's Sky is having something new show up this week. I think it's a good idea to combine both, but you have to be adult in both ways. This goes both ways, guys. You have to be an adult about seeing the obvious problems that you have here. You have to acknowledge that this is very much a disaster, and then you have to be an adult about, well, you know what, if you like flying around a little bit, doing something here and there, and you enjoy that, yeah, sure. If you like doing that, do it. If you hate doing that, don't do it. It's not that complicated. Oh, stop crying, whining. No one is crying, whining. People that use those words obviously never heard any actual real crying and whining, probably never had a child, so that's usually what I associate with that kind of comments. But it's a game. If you don't enjoy it, go do something else. Maybe go do some actual damn work, or play some other video game, or go for a walk. All of those things are better than being bitter about it. Have fun. And yes, that does not mean you don't criticize the obvious issues we have here, which is what I do a lot because we don't have a lot of good stuff going on. I would love nothing more than to say, hey, look what I do when it comes to No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky is fucking flawless. You can't find it is just so well-rounded, such dedication in that game, that how can you be an asshole about it? How can you, I don't like the graphics. Okay, they actually got a lot better lately, but okay, you don't like, I actually like them. I think that you now have a nice combination. It could get better, but man, you cannot be very bitter about No Man's Sky. What about Starfield, which a lot of clickbait about how terrible no, Starfield is fine. It is what you would have expected from an RPG from Bethesda, which is bringing Skyrim in space, right? So let's go on. I think it's important already to start from that point of be an adult about this on both aspects, on terms of how bad this state is, and yeah, even though it is this bad, there's a lot of people that may end up enjoying it. That does not mean you're some cultist, Kool-Aid drinking fool that says, oh, it's so perfect.
I'm high, and for many of those working on the game, it's a mutual feeling. But what's actually going on at Cloud Imperium Games, and why have things gotten to this point? On October 1st, the inboxes of CIG developers were hit by a new mandate from Global Head of Production Aaron Roberts. Those working on CitizenCon deliverables must work every day, including weekends, until October 19th. The mandate forced employees to work 19 straight days for a minimum of 8 hours per day up until CitizenCon, with time off in lieu being offered for the Saturday and Sunday hours worked, as well as breakfast goods and lunch being offered. It's a mandate that was quickly altered after staff raised questions about the legalities surrounding it. So instead, CIG opted to give employees Sundays off if they meet the minimum threshold of 56 hours worked from Monday to Saturday, a change that would still be illegal in UK law if CIG employee contracts didn't contain an opt-out agreement of the 48-hour weekly limit. In addition to the sudden change, Insider Gaming had also asked for comment on our original report on the mandate, which seemingly prompted an email to be sent by Roberts to staff to also give employees October 21st off as a free company holiday. Perhaps it was just a weird coincidence, but it's a gesture that some employees say likely wouldn't have happened if the news of the mandate wasn't going to be made public. Most staff saw it as a band-aid over a bullet wound, saying that the company needs a complete overhaul to survive. Some workers think that CIG has already passed the point of no return, with its future heading in an unavoidable crash course due to its mismanagement and overspending.
You heard it here first. You heard it. It makes no sense. How can you keep making things so much worse and expect anything different? how can you take away features all the time? Master modes is taking away features. The nerfing of things that have already been sold, for crying out loud. Who could possibly be such an idiot to put even more money into this when you see that, oh, but this ship is wonderful. Well, yeah, but we just kill it so as to sell something else. It is one of the most despicable, slimy tactics any business can have, especially in a video game, selling you something and then making it bad, just killing it. That has to be borderline illegal if it's not. Selling a but it's no, it's not about alpha balancing. No, it's about you selling something and then you ruin it because you want to sell something else. There has to be some kind of law against that. It is very much on the grounds of scam in terms of, yes, even if it's online, even if it's digital, even if it's in production, and even if it's an alpha and we're still developing. Well, yes, but then your own lawyers say it's an online service. So you're selling an asset for this online service and then you kill that asset you sold? That is not, it's not just not cool, it's probably not even legal. I mean, I'm no lawyer, but common sense would say probably not. And then we have the simple fact of how boring it is. I still play it, I still do videos. It is simply not enjoyable. Even if you want to play it, you just cannot. Because you get, it's boring, right? It used to be that I could go and do the bounties, the combat beacons, quickly get on a ship, boom, start flying and fighting. It was exciting. But they killed that with master modes. They also killed the prophet. They hired an economist to justify. Is that economist still there? Did they just hire a guy for a couple months just to use as a smoke screen? And then I would love to know, is economist dude still hired? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments, you guys from CIG, that you don't have to use your real name or anything. Just create another account. And, no, he's not working here. I would bet my ass that guy is not even there anymore. They just had some guy for a couple months. So yeah, he's balancing the economy, right? Economy of what? There's no economy. There was just one dude that said, yep, ships need to be a lot more expensive, yep, because they're spaceships, and yep, you need to make a lot less money, not enough to pay for the fucking gas tank that you're using in its own mission. What kind of economy, what kind of economist tells you that? Who did you hire as an economist? Sandy Roberts? Dude, doesn't make any sense. Why would you do a mission in which you lose money? So no, there's no balancing of anything here. It's all a joke.
Over the past couple of weeks, Insider Gaming has spoken to over a dozen past and current employees on CIG's current situation, which gives a brief insight into the company's internal workings and possible future. As of 2022, according to its financials, the company has spent $637 million on development, with 2020 to 2022 averaging over $106 million per year. Assuming that the company continues spending around $100 million or so per year, it doesn't take a mathematician to realize that the $790 million raised so far at the time of writing is on the verge, or likely has already run out.
They run out of money. That's why they sold the Atlas. That's why they rushed crap. That's why they put guns on the Polaris that didn't have pilot control guns. They just slapped guns on the things as to be automatically shooting at stuff. They are desperate for money because, ironically enough, motherfuckers, they run out of money. These guys run out of money. They burned so much through it. They bought so many buildings, yachts, mansions, and all of that shit. It is going to be a massive lawsuit at the end of the day.
It's an assumption felt by both current and former employees at the company, who say that they've been experiencing the effects of apparent dwindling funds these past 12 months.
Yeah.
Earlier this year,
So
CIG
obvious.
quietly laid off an estimated 100 to 150 staff members at its Austin and LA offices. The company had hoped that the move would go under the radar because affected employees were told to sign non-disclosure agreements, which prevented them from announcing their departure on social media. Former employees said those who refused to sign were told that they would not get any form of severance. Undoubtedly, the information about the layoffs hit the internet because of those who refused to sign NDAs or decided to speak to the press. The information on the layoffs eventually forced CIG's hand, and the company issued a statement revealing that, quote, a small number of positions were eliminated and that it had decided to co-locate as much development as possible. Current staff members also felt the financial burden, with wage increases being frozen and the prospect of career progression seemingly being halted, all as the cost of living continues to rise.
How can you attract quality talent in this condition? You don't. That's the answer. You don't. You lose people like Todd Pappy. You lose anyone that has any talent and can work elsewhere. You just end up with a bottom of the barrel. That's why we have this situation that on one hand, you have extreme greed and monetization out of every freaking drop of blood they squeeze out of people that still want to support them on one hand, and on the other hand, you know the video I did a while back about, is this just extreme, absurd, disgusting greed, or is just incompetence and just them being horrible and mediocre at their job? Well, it's both things. On the management side, they're extremely greedy beyond reason. It's compared to No Man's Sky, they are desperate to squeeze every single buck and waste it in the most stupid possible ways, or just relocate it in ways that is just beneficial for the personal finances of the of these guys, right? Especially Chris, and just screw us over basically. Instead of using the money for making the game, they've obviously been sending that money to certain portfolios and things that are more. Why do you have to buy? How many buildings is it while not even having the game? Why? Why would you do that? Well, the building you can keep. When all is said and done, the building stays there. The mansions stay there. The yacht stays there. You can justify it any way you want, but at the end of the day, this is the oldest trick in the book. Instead of putting money on things that is wasted, like game development, no, I put it on brick and mortar, land, and things that will stay once they have to liquidate everything.
Some employees told Insider Gaming that they're now struggling to make ends meet, leading some to contemplate leaving the company and questioning their future in the industry entirely. One employee even joked that at least they have baristas serving them coffee, referencing the over-the-top coffee bar that takes up a large portion of the 9th floor in its new Manchester building. According to multiple sources who believe backers' money could be spent more efficiently, the coffee bar is just one example of CIG's unnecessary spending habits. Spending tens of thousands of pounds on custom furniture and oversized props isn't unusual, sources say, with management justifying its spending habits because it's, quote, pushing the boundaries of game development. Its Manchester office, which still is under construction on one floor, consists of custom wall paneling, doors, and even desks to make employees feel like they're living in the Star Citizen universe. One employee described the office as, quote, almost a space version of Willy Wonka's factory that caters to taste over functionality. Pushing the boundaries of game development is often a phrase used by management, sources say, who use it repeatedly to explain CIG's unorthodox game development processes.
Pushing the boundaries of gaming, they don't have a fucking working move all button in this game. You lost the inventory, the inventory that was standard in any normal game. You lost that because you need to waste more time so as to forget that you don't have a game to play. So they remove basic shit that exists in every single game ever just to have you waste more time. And they cannot have functioning things that have been a given in the gaming industry for over 2-3 decades now. Move all buttons. You cannot get that right. You cannot have a move all button. You have to move shit manually one by one. I mean, you can realistically move things with your hands in the real world better than in this game. It is ridiculous. It makes no sense unless you look at it from the lens of waste time, not make the game.
This includes rationalizing almost all processes of development pipeline, including how to work on CIG's Star engine, a heavily modified version of the Cry engine that has been the cause of years of delays and pushbacks.
Jesus Christ, why?
Staff described the engine as a Frankenstein, a mishmash of parts that's difficult to work with at the best of times, never mind when features are added, changed, or removed daily. Both current and former staff say that one of the fundamental issues at CIG is the creative process, which will see the head honcho of CIG, Chris Roberts, make game-defining changes daily that can cause weeks' worth of issues. Roberts is relatively well known in and out of the Star Citizen community for being a perfectionist at the best times. Still, developers feel that his constant changes in vision and scope have become...
That's not a perfectionist. That's some, and I have strong doubts about his real honest-to-God interest of making the game. I don't believe it anymore. I mean, I've seen, because of what I do, I've seen people have... I don't think he's trying to make the game anymore. I think he's trying to maximize profit before it goes, before it goes belly up. Maximize. I don't think he wants to make the game anymore. That's my personal opinion. I just don't see it. I think he's just looking at making as much money as possible before it all goes.
One of the most significant burdens to Star Citizen, Squadron 42, and CIG as a development studio. Staff say that this isn't just on the prominent game features either, but down to the most minute of details. They said that the decisions that should take a matter of seconds creatively can sometimes take hours or even days due to his micromanagement. Said one former employee, quote, "I've genuinely been sat in meetings that got derailed for 30 minutes so that the placement of objects that players are likely to never interact with could be discussed in detail. There's just no actual focus on getting the game done."
There you go.
Said another employee, quote, "Sometimes the most basic features can be reviewed by Roberts half a dozen times for it to then be scrapped or changed on the 7th review. The constant changes in scope are made worse by inappropriate deadlines, which will see months worth of work expected within weeks or even days, which still ultimately runs the risk of being scrapped entirely. The constant creative changes, micromanagement, poorly optimized engine, and lack of standard development processes have led many experienced developers to leave CIG in recent years, with some of those we spoke to preferring a more traditional form of game development. CIG's change in experienced staff has undoubtedly had a knock-on effect on its culture, with sources saying that the studio now has one of the strongest cult-like mentalities in the entire industry.
They're fucking insane.
It's the result of CIG's own doing, which will see experienced staff replaced by younger and...
No, you can, I mean, in Spectrum, you can comment. I'm like banned until who God knows when. It is insane. And you know why? You know why you get banned and what when you comment about things that are obvious issues with the way in which the game is going, not because you have any like fights or no. It is insane. You get banned for discussing the development of the game in ways in which it's not favorable for them. When you point out that, what are you doing there? What is that? When you do that, you get a warning, and then you get banned, and then you get, it is insane. But it has become a bit of a cult, a lot of a cult.
Developers will find it difficult to learn from more experienced staff because there aren't any.
Right.
One source even went on to say that they're aware of some people who were hired simply because they were fans of the game. One current developer said that, quote, "It's created an unhealthy place to work where you can't push back on anything."
Right.
A different former developer added that they're repeating mistakes that other companies made 20 years ago, which contributes to the shortcomings of their ambitious features. Most experienced staff will leave for one reason or another, usually within a year, which has created a studio where a large portion of its staff will have Star Citizen as their first shipped game. It remains to be seen how CIG will continue developing its games as its funds seemingly dwindle, but the studio's actively seeking additional funding and ideas to prolong development.
Yeah, you end up with all of these wokey weirdos that have no fucking clue how to make a proper game. They just, we're just fans of the game. No, you need people that actually know what they're doing.
Earlier this year, Microsoft was given a brief presentation for Squadron 42, CIG's spin-off campaign of Star Citizen that consists of about 20 different chapters of various lengths. It's understood that the plan for Squadron 42 is to get the game out the door as soon as possible, with directors of the company hoping that the influx of cash will sustain Star Citizen's development and help push Squadron 42 as a multi-game series. As for when Squadron 42 will launch, that's anyone's guess, but it's understood that the game has only just made it to a feature-complete stage, despite the claims last year.
Yeah.
Other ideas to fund Star Citizen, including more ships at higher prices, will not surprise those familiar with the game's development. However, one potential oddball is a third game in development themed around a medieval fantasy. Sources said that the details of the project are slim, but it's a means for CIG to release more than just one style of game. Nevertheless, whether or not the backers of Star Citizen want their money to fund a fantasy game is a question for another time, as is how long the game will take to develop.
How many games is this guy gonna finance with the money from backers that want to see this? How many? 3 already, is it? I mean, when does this stop? When a giant-ass lawsuit by a lot of very pissed people finally hits him over the head? Just something more organized and more serious. Would that be the moment in which they just go, oh, well, yeah, we have to close the door. We have to close business, close shop. That's it. That's what's going to happen. I'm 90% sure that's how CIG ends. It's going to end something like that. And it's going to be, you know what? Blaming the backers. the day this company closes doors and screws everyone over, and you will have nothing to fly or play or do anything because it will be done. The moment that happens, they're going to blame the backers, the people that allowed this man to do what he's been doing all these years.
CIG is set to hold its annual CitizenCon on October 19th and 20th, with fans planned to see a demo of Squadron 42's Chapter 1, which was internally said to, quote, get our community on board with the fact that they're getting very close to Squadron's full release.
Very close.
Of course, fans should also expect to see a lot more of Star Citizen, but as the past 12 years have shown everyone, nothing's set in stone. For more exclusive news and deep dives like
this was very good. This is what the Insider Gaming. I'll leave the link there below in case you want to go check it out. I agree with everything he just said. I think it was well researched. I assume that he probably did talk with several employees. It's what I've been saying for a year already. I said it. These guys are running out of money. They are desperate. Why would you be so desperate? If you're so big, you're so wealthy, why are you so desperate on petty shit? Why are you not making the game? It is suspicious at this point. It is because of incompetence. It's because they really want to run this thing to the ground and just shut it down while finding different excuses so as to leave everyone hanging. What is it that they're trying to do? Well, I know what they're not trying to do, which is complete the game, finish the game, or even worse, because we always knew, even when I got into this years ago, I always knew that ending, that's not. But you're not getting new content. You're not getting nothing new to play. That's the worst part. If you tell me that No Man's Sky, and that motherfucker Sean Murray, he's the exact opposite, the polar opposite of Chris Roberts. That man, with a fully released game, it wouldn't. If you tell me No Man's Sky is not a fully released game. It continues to grow, develop. That's what people wanted for Star Citizen. That's what backers wanted, to have a solid foundation that worked. It's not too much to ask after 14 fucking years, but after 14 years, have a game that actually works like No Man's Sky, and then you release periodic updates with new cool stuff. No one is asking you to stop selling ships. No one is asking you to stop developing. Rather the opposite. But you have to give people something. You cannot just take and charge people for features that were there before and you remove, like the Atlas robot. You couldn't move boxes around. It is still horrible now to move boxes around. You have to go buy a robot for that just because they needed to sell this and make another million. He's just around. It's this close to just break into people's homes and see what he can grab and run away before the cops come around. It is getting just too much. But hey, CitizenCon, right? More lies about what we'll never see. See you later, guys. Take care.